Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Let's talk about Tisha and Marsau. So Tisha has a podcast now, guys, and it seems like she's really trying to push herself to be a little bit more out there. Okay, so fair enough. I'm not knocking nobody's hustle. So I am going to talk about some of the things that they talked about on the podcast. Tisha decided that Marsau was going to be her guest. And so they were talking a little bit about how they met and what their relationship was like. They even talked about how things were hard at a certain point. And I want to really get into that. But if you're new to this channel, smash that subscribe button like your life depends on it, okay? And please hit that like button, hit that share button, and let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you to all my returning subscribers. I love you. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's get into today's video. Tisha basically brought up Marsau and they started talking a little bit about themselves, right? Marsau introduced himself, talked about how they dated exclusively for a month and then he proposed. Now, I'm out here thinking, a month? Okay. Tisha then said that people will think that that is a short time and it's a red flag. So why did he decide to propose? Now, before we get into why he decided to propose, I want to say, I think it is a tricky one. I understand both sides. On the one hand, I understand why it could be a red flag for somebody to propose within a month of you exclusively dating them, especially if you have not known them for a long time. Let's say we've been friends for 20 years and during that time we've kind of talked about dating and we know each other, I've talked about all the core things, and then we talk and then start dating exclusively for a month and then we get engaged. I think that's a different situation. But like, we just started to get to know each other. I didn't even know any of your family members or friends or anything. And then we start dating, in a month you propose. I think for me, as a person, I'll probably be like, okay, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Now, I know there's the perspective of when you know, but at the same time, I'm more of a let's make sure we're entering this decision fully informed. Now, of course, you can't know somebody completely, but I like to feel like I've had the opportunity to at least get to know you a little bit. 1 month, I don't know if I can do it. I don't think I can do it. Maybe 6 months, maybe okay. But even that 6 months, I would be so nervous. But that 1 month gives me anxiety. But then again, I guess it worked for them. Now, I know we may have different views about how their marriage is and whether Marsau is stepping out allegedly or whatever, but at least it works for both of the parties involved. So Tisha seems to be okay with the marriage. Marsau seems to be okay with the marriage, so what's our business, right? So Marsau, when asked about why he proposed, Marsau basically said he doesn't feel like he needs to eat a gallon of ice cream to know if he likes a taste. And he pretty much knew that he liked her, and that was that, really. Of course, Tisha tries to clean it up a little bit and talk about like how marriage is a commitment and a once in a lifetime thing. And at the point of the proposal, he had been done with his education and it was working towards his career and was basically then trying to figure out whether that impacted Marsau's decision. So, of course, Marsau is like, well, he had already graduated from high school. It was time for college. He graduated from college and he finally felt like it was time to meet somebody and actually settle down. So he proposed to her. It definitely doesn't give the vibe I was like, I love this girl, blah, blah, blah. And so I married her. I knew it didn't give all of that, to be honest. Now, I don't know if that is because, of course, they didn't date for a long time. So the feelings weren't that intense. And besides, some people of the school of thought of you don't have to marry somebody that you love, but love who you marry. So maybe he's one of those people. And, I'm not going to hold that against him because different people do different things. Now, for me, I would love to be all the way in love with my partner before I accept to be his wife. That is just how I feel. But you guys, let me know in the comment section below. Like, are you one of those people where you're just like, I don't need you to love me, I don't need to love you? If we're both aligned on what we want, let's just do it. Let me know in the chat. Now, in all fairness, he did say that he guesses the things that were next for him were on his mind. Like, he was thinking about buying a house, getting a car. And then when he met her, he felt like he couldn't see himself without her. So he proposed for them to get married. Tisha, on the other hand, was talking about what she thought about him when she met him. And she was talking about she felt like he looked nice, had a nice suit, but his shoes were kind of dusty. That cracked me up. But he slid her his number. And she was basically asking, like, why did he think that she was going to call him? Some line is she eventually called because here they are, right? Now, Tisha said something that I thought was interesting. She was like, she felt really impressed when she first met him because he was flipping his first house. That is the thing that I need some men to understand, especially these lazy men. As women, we love a man that is hardworking about his business. If we have an initial conversation and I get the vibe that you are about your business, you are hardworking, then I'm thinking, wow, this is good. I'm thinking stability. And I think that is what Tisha was probably thinking in that moment when she was hearing, oh, he's flipping his first house. She's thinking, okay, things are going to be good. He seems hardworking. These are the kind of things you need to be bringing to the table if you're out here trying to date anybody. Anyways, I digress. Tisha was basically saying when she went over to his place, he was trying to make moves on her, playing the piano, and then he tried to slip his hands through her legs. I'm like, okay, now that escalated real quick. My thing is, like, how many dates had you guys gone on before this? Like, what was going on these dates? Because I'm thinking, if anybody that I'm just starting to talk to all of a sudden is now slipping their hands through my legs, I'll be thinking, like, what is going on and what have I walked into? Anyway, she did say she stood up and walked out of the house right there and then. She did that because she wasn't trying to give it up too soon. Now, here's the thing. I know that Marsau did say that it doesn't really matter with sex, like, you don't necessarily have to, like, hold it or whatever, and that what is important is how the person treats you before, during, and after sex. Now, I agree with what he says about it's important how the person does treat you before, during, and after sex. I think that is very important. Like, people say something called post-nut clarity, and like, especially after the sex, if he treats you like crap after that, then you have your answer. You know what it is, right? But interestingly enough, maybe I'm a little old school on this, but I really believe in taking your time. I don't think there's any reason to be introducing sex early on. You need to really get to know the person. You need to know if this is a long-term commitment, all that kind of stuff. Now, of course, you all know I'm Christian, so my beliefs are Christian centered, okay? But, so I don't know what you lot do, but even Tisha said that she was taught not to give it up too soon, because if she gives it up too soon, it can cause mixed feelings, and then she may think she's in love when she's not really in love. And I think that's a really important point that she made. I say that because I've had situations with people that I know where they've stayed in toxic relationships, and when you ask them all of the things that they're getting out of it, you realize it then boils down to the sexual element and what they're getting. And it's just like, so you let this man treat you like crap because his D game is so strong. I personally think that that is horrible, and you should value yourself a lot more than just falling for the D. I do know for some people it takes them some time to really fall out of it. And that's why I do agree with Tisha. There's no point having it so early on and then getting mixed feelings and then thinking you're in love when you're not. Like, there are some people that know how to manage their emotions. I'm not talking about you lot, even though I'm one of y'all, but I'm talking about the people who they get invested too quickly. They get emotional too quickly. They start planning their life with this man from the first day. People like y'all, you lot need to be careful because of how you're moving, to make sure that you're not out here thinking that this is love when that man does not care about you. And you don't even like this person. You're not even aligned beyond the sexual element. Now, what was interesting is they did talk about their marriage and how it was very difficult in the beginning. Apparently, there were times where they wanted to get a divorce, wanted to go to the courthouse. I was like, okay, so you guys are giving us a little bit of insight into your marriage. I really think they're trying to give us more insight so that people can watch the new season of Love and Marriage Huntsville. We're going to see how that goes. Tisha was saying that the first 5 years was really hard. Marsau was thinking of them when they started having children more as roommates, because he felt like he wasn't really getting as much attention from her and the attention had moved towards the children. I've heard a lot of men say that about like their relationship after children gets into the picture. I think it's one of those things where it is so hard to balance, especially because as a woman, you've gone through so much to push the child out or have the child that like you just can't imagine anything else outside of that child. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised that is a common theme with a lot of men in that situation. But I do think it was interesting what Tisha and Marsau were saying about Tisha particularly was saying that it's easier to walk away, but it's much harder to stay in the relationship, and that she could have walked away during the first 3 years of marriage, but she did not want to be a single mom. And she has been fighting for a marriage. And I think that's really what it is. Because even on the show, what you notice about Tisha, it is clear she never wants to be a single mom. She takes that marriage thing on her head. She really does not want to not be married. So she is likely to put up with a lot just because she never wants to not be married. It was also interesting where they were talking about like being raised in different backgrounds, different people. Also, imagine being raised by lots of women with no men, and thinking about the kind of advice that you get from women who don't have men. And I hear that, but I think there's also a balance to the conversation, because there are some women who may not be in a relationship with a man who give really good advice. So I think that, yeah, I would just say like there's a little bit of caution on it. I think if you're going to get advice from people, get advice from people who want your success as a couple, who are honest. So if it comes to a situation where it's clearly better for you guys to be apart, then of course the advice is along those lines. People that will be honest with you and will not be out here telling y'all to keep pressing at it when they know that this is toxic. But anyways, let me know what you guys think of this podcast that Tisha is doing. Also, do you guys have any feedback on anything that I've said? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and see you in the comments. Thank you. Bye.